Basketball's basketball. I remember when we didn't have nothing to watch, and I was watching, Dora the Explorer with my daughter. So I'm glad to be watching basketball now.
Dora. It's catchy, right? Yeah.
It is catchy.
My kids are a little past that now, but it's still stuck in the head.
I got a baby.
All right, let's bring in Grant Hill. He'll be calling game one of our doubleheader tonight, Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies with Brian Anderson. Grant, good to see you. Lakers, 3-0 in this trip right now. They are 5-2 on the young season. It feels like the challenge is more internal than anything. What are they working on in terms of development, in terms of improvement between now and I know we're already looking ahead, between now and the postseason?
Well, Matt, we had a chance earlier, about 30 minutes ago, Brian Anderson and I, to talk with Coach Frank Vogel. And he talked about really just managing this season and keeping them sort of mentally engaged, but also their minutes, making sure that, LeBron, AD, their core guys can get through this season and be at their best, of course, at the end of the year. So that means, of course, relying on their bench, which they did a great job of last year and certainly doing the same thing this year. But, they're still the same Lakers. They're the champs. Their defense is great. Their offense, particularly their fourth quarter execution this year, has been phenomenal. They've just kind of gone out and taken care of business. They've done a masterful job here on the road. And this obviously their last game here against Memphis after, going against the Spurs on the road as well. They're doing what they have to do, and I thought they might get off to a bit of a slow start, just sort of having such a quick turnaround from the championship game and series 71 games before the start of this year. But so far they look good, and I think as the season continues on and they'll continue to ramp things up, they haven't hit their stride yet, but they're still playing great basketball, and that's what you expect from the world champions.
Well, Grant, we've seen the way that the Lakers have brought along Kyle Kuzma. And saying all that, I believe Kyle Kuzma does rise to the occasion when either LeBron James is out of the game or Anthony Davis. As we saw earlier in the year against Minnesota, he exploded for 20 points, most of which in the first half he was extremely efficient. I know Laker fans are waiting for him to become that third guy, that dependable third guy. But it seems as though when both of LeBron and AD are on the court, Kyle kind of struggles a little bit. So where do you see that he fits in tonight, and how do the Lakers get him going consistently when both of those guys are on the floor?
Candace, you make a great point. I mean, first of all, there was a lot of expectations going into last year that Kyle would be, part of that big three in L.A. and didn't quite have the season that I think all of us, or at least Laker fans, were hoping for. He had some good, really good moments, particularly in the bubble and in the postseason. But he's come back. They showed confidence in him, signing him this summer, re-signing him to a nice contract. And his energy has been just tremendous. I mean, he plays with confidence. He's shooting the ball more. He's more decisive. I think you're right, though, when he's out there with AD and LeBron, he naturally, I think, tends to defer to them. And I actually like him with the second unit. KCP, has been out a little bit, probably won't play tonight against the Grizzlies. They've inserted Kuzma into the starting lineup. But I like him with that second unit, the energy of the second unit with Schroeder, along with Harrell inside. Those three guys together have really sort of built some they're going to need Kuzma, though. They're going to continue to need him throughout the season, and particularly in the postseason. He's a great shooter. He can get hot. And he's a guy that I believe can win win a quarter, win a game for you when it really matters in the postseason. So he's still young. He's still learning and growing, but I like where he's at right now. And I think when LeBron and or AD are out of the game, it's a chance for him to really get going.
Grant, you mentioned the bench and Montrez and Schroeder. How do you think they've done so far, and what do you think their impact is going to be over this long, kind of full of so many different variable seasons, especially with COVID and injuries and sitting guys? How do you think their impact is going to be this year?
Well, it's going to be huge, Channing. I mean, last season, with all due respect to LeBron and AD, the Lakers bench was so crucial, so critical to their success. I think they played the third most amount of minutes. And as we, move ahead to this year, coming off of last year, the unconventional season, the unconventional offseason, the bench has changed a bit. But that bench is going to be, I think, something they're really going to lean on. And in Sunday's game against Memphis, the bench, Montrezl Harrell, and then Horton Tucker, they both came in the second quarter. The Lakers were down, and they got them going, really got hot that second quarter, gave the Lakers a nice cushion, a nice lead going into halftime. Of course, in the fourth quarter, LeBron James just took over, as LeBron James can do. But that bench will just sort of help with Frank Vogel's big master plan of monitoring their minutes, thinking big picture, having Harrell. His chemistry with Schroeder has been fantastic. When Kuzma is able to slide back to the bench, you have a bench, I think, that might be even more explosive than last year's Lakers bench. So it's exciting for them. Caruso's out. He's been out for a while. We know how important he is to this ball club. So when they get healthy, which is right around the corner, this bench, I think, will really serve them well in the regular season, but also Channing in the postseason. Swiper, no swiping.
Hey, Grant, as for the Grizzlies, they'll have their fourth straight game without Ja Morant tonight because of that ankle injury, and obviously he is everything to them on both ends of the floor at this point in his young career. For Taylor Jenkins, is the approach that we're going to adjust the way we play, or we're going to try to do the things that we do with Ja Morant in the game, only with Tyus Jones and others picking up the slack?
Well, it's tough. I mean, Ja Morant, as you said, Matt, means so much to this ball club. And, he puts so much pressure on the defense. He gets in the paint. He sets everybody up. He has a confidence, a swagger that's infectious. And so, obviously, he's out there shooting now, and he's that's a good sign that he'll be back hopefully here soon in the next week or two. But this is a very, very different team. Now, to their credit, they played very well for three quarters against the Lakers, kept it really close. Tyus Jones has stepped up, and he's looking to be more aggressive. He's playing better defense. Of course, you need more from Dillon Brooks, who, didn't shoot the ball well, was 3 for 15 from the field, had 9 points. I expect him to have a better performance here tonight. And then Kyle Anderson, I think a lot more is used through him. Kyle Anderson has come back. He's been more aggressive this year. He has career highs in points and rebounds. He's shooting the ball better from the perimeter with more confidence. And now with Ja Morant out, is really by committee. You can put the ball in his hands. He has a great IQ. He can make good decisions. So, they're going to have to do it by committee with Ja Morant out. And like I said, I thought they played well for three quarters. You just had LeBron James, who really beat them all different types of ways, from long range, from getting to the paint, in the post, free throw line. He was at his best in the fourth quarter. And, as you know, when great players get hot, it really makes it difficult in terms of trying to stop them. So, but if Dillon Brooks can really step up, and if they can just continue to build off of the performance they had for three quarters on Sunday, they feel that they have a chance here against the world champion Lakers.
Grizzlies obviously aren't the first team to be victimized by LeBron James in the fourth quarter of a game. It's happened a few times before. Look forward to the call tonight, Grant. Grant and Brian Anderson will have it for you. The Grizzlies hosting the Lakers tonight at the top of the hour. Channing, let's talk a little bit about Ja Morant, and we talked about what he means to this Memphis team. And a lot of teams are built around superstar players, right? They give the ball to their guy, and the offense is kind of predicated on that. Grizzlies led the league in points in the paint last season. This season so far, on a per 100 possession basis, they score 8 fewer points in the paint without Ja Morant than they do with him on the floor. How do you account for that as a head coach and as a team?
I think, number one, you just got to give Ja Morant credit. He is special. He's turned when Marc Gasol left, Zach Randolph left, the grindhouse, they were going in that rebuilding stage. And, of course, you give them a couple of years, and Ja Morant comes and blows the whole league up, right? And it's like, who is this kid? What he does, to me, the biggest impact he has is that no one plays selfishly. Everyone is in their spots. They're doing their role. Dillon Brooks is shooting because he's a shooter. Valanciunas has that energy. He's physical. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is, when he's hot, he's hot. But it's all because Ja Morant is going to find the right person. He's a great leader for that team. He's a great person for that city. And he's great as a culture guy for that organization.
CP, how do you play a specific style the way the Grizzlies have with Morant in the lineup when you don't have the guy that makes that specific style work for you?
Well, I honestly think it's an organizational thing. It's the type of culture that you're trying to build around. You might not have the guy, but the guys around it are eventually.